Couple hours of this race. You got to think a 3.56 mile racetrack, 61 cars are on it. There's 5 different classes of cars running, all different speeds, running into each other, especially during restarts after pit sequences. We have seen some crazy traffic jams, and trying to navigate that is a huge challenge, and it's been very treacherous so far these first couple hours.
All right, let's get you up to speed and show you what has gone down in the opening 2.5 hours of this Rolex 24. Appropriately, the defending champions, the blue and black car you see there, the Konica Minolta Wayne Taylor Racing Acura, led the field to green earlier today. And it was a fairly smooth start, but Tristan Vautier in the Mustang sampling Cadillac went on the move early.
He did, got the power down early out of the International Horse Poo, takes that car to the lead. But then Kobayashi takes advantage in traffic, cuts to the inside, but watch this move, Hinch.
This is it.
Hanging around.
He used that Lamborghini as a pick, split the difference 3 wide for a brief moment through the S's, and that's the 48 to the lead.
So we started with 61 cars, we're down to 60 because Dwight Merriman crashed his LMP2 prototype. There was a corner worker in the background that went to ground, and he has been transported to hospital for further evaluations, but stable, awake and alert. You guys spoke about traffic. Check this out.
Look at this pack of cars. You got some prototypes in there as well trying to get up to speed, but we're going to see this all day long, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 abreast.
Then we had a little bit of action down here into turn 1, the Ferrari getting spun around, a little bit of decision making by the drivers behind, no harm, no foul, everyone gets through, but that was not the case here with the Lexus as another Ferrari goes around, releases the brake, and unfortunately Franchi Montecalvo nowhere to go, big damage to that number 12 Lexus.
You got to try and survive some of these moments throughout a 24-hour race, but Frankie ducked to the outside there. The Ferrari, I think, didn't realize there's another car there. Released those brakes, as you said, Hinch. Major damage, many laps down. Now it's all about damage control in terms of the championship and trying to score a few points here today.
So let's scoot ahead, and there were some pretty spirited battles. This is Sebastian Bourdais in the 01 Ganassi car hitting race leader Jose Maria Lopez. Not too much damage there, but it was a sketchy period for Lopez, who almost crashed the car after coming out from a pit stop.
Yeah, coming into turn 6 there, just gets in a little bit too late. Lights up that left front, has to take the escape route there. So they're putting it all on the line, Hitch, here early in the go, and it's all about survival, making the right decisions, but I'd say it's an aggression there, a bit too much aggression from the 48 squad. You got to wonder about Gary Nelson sitting there thinking about, maybe we need to calm these boys down a little bit.
Yeah, a couple different drivers having a couple different incidents for a race that's this long and we're only this far into it. It has been a little bit on the aggressive side. And again, traffic has been a big topic from the beginning. We're going to be talking
Come on, it's the first race and it's a big race.
Come on, man. This is the biggest field we've seen here in quite some time. And even the drivers with a lot of experience here at Daytona, they're not used to quite this many cars on track. So I think this is going to be an ongoing thing. And those decision-making situations, those quick calls these drivers have to make, that could be the difference today.
So we get you back to live pictures, and this is a man who knows how to get to victory lane here. This is Renger van der Zand, the Dutch driver for Chip Ganassi Racing. At the moment, he boasts a lead of just over 3 seconds. And I want to say welcome in to the gang on the Peacock pit box. Marty Snyder.
21 hours
left. We've had a bit of a line change here, too, on the Peacock pit box. Townsville hanging out for one more second. And Steve Letarte jumps in here. Hinch went up to the booth, obviously, and Alexander Rossi joining us here on the pit box as well. So how's your Daytona experience been? Not a lot of laps over the couple of days leading up to the race.
You know, it's been what it's been. But I'm happy to be here and to be back with Acura and Konica Minolta and Wayne Taylor Racing is an amazing thing. And what we accomplished last year,
2016 Indianapolis 500 champion.
As late as we did, so
Alexander Rossi.
Hopefully, well, 4 in a row for
His brand over in the World Endurance Championship, that wasn't going to fly. So looking here at Mike Shank, looking on. This 60 team struggled here last year, struggled in the first part of the season, but talking to him this weekend, he said we've learned so much.
23 rounds.
Down in turn 1, I believe, 33 car off and on.
Lance Wilsey, the Sean Creech Motorsport.
But Mike Shank thinks we've got a really good shot. Total shake-up on their driver line. None of the 4 drivers on that number 60 squad this year ran with them last year, but certainly some of them had a lot of success. 33 there, just in a little deep, doesn't want to lock up those tires, really dusty there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you think we're only a few hours into this race and already all the dust and marbles that are offline in turn 1 there, that is just going to get exponentially worse as this race goes on, but a smart move to kind of keep the tires in better shape, and he seems to be back underway all right.
Maybe there's some new viewers to IMSA WeatherTech competition here on USA Network. 5 classes of cars, all racing on the track at the one time, going for that Rolex timepiece at the end of 24 hours. Hey, somebody who knows what it's like to win in class here is our very own Calvin Fish when he won for Jack Roush with Robbie Gordon and Linson James.
For that incident involving the 79 and the 19, but still waiting to see what it
it's big
wow.
ones. The 34 car. That's the GMG
Ripped
Porsche.
the engine out of it.
Turn 5 is the West Horseshoe.
He's moving around in the car. I see him moving in the car.
That is some very serious contact.
Both cautions today have been caused by accidents, front-on damage to both cars, the LMP2 prototype and now the GTD Porsche.
I wonder if you got a little bit wide coming out of the kink there. Very fast left-hander in the kink, turn 5, caught the grass, and then it hooked it to the inside based on the damage of that car.
Kyle Washington.
Yeah, making his first start here at Daytona. Not obviously any experience in the race. A big debris field as well. Lots of carbon fiber, bits of race car scattered across the racetrack. So this will be a lengthy cleanup.
Super nice guy. Met him last year. He ran in another championship. Got partnered up with James Safronis. They're good mates outside of the race car, and he'll be disappointed with this. Big guy, strong man. He just loves his racing.
Good to see him out of the car, though. Doesn't seem to be any damage to the driver, which is the most important thing. Obviously, AMR safety team on the scene very quickly. Going to give him a little bit of an assessment. Probably take him to the medical center, just make sure everything's okay. But it looks like he's managed to escape that one, luckily.
Just reminding you of our broadcast menu, the entirety of the event on Peacock, of course here on USA, and tomorrow to finish things off on network television on NBC. Back in a moment.
It's time.
You don't answer until the race starts, fuel mileage being one of the biggest. So now the teams know what they think they can expect, how that changed with traffic. You can start to lay out your plan. What I've learned about this race is that we talk about it needs to be survival, but every year the finish gets closer and closer. You can't just give up overnight. You have to make sure you work yourself into that track position. We heard Parker Kligerman mention earlier that the 60 Mike Shank Racing was getting very good fuel mileage. Now in this situation, he's stuck on the racetrack with Castro Neves behind the wheel, yet to come to pit road. So it'll be interesting to see if they feel this is a break to extend this fuel window, or this will hurt them because they're going to lose track position as soon as we go green.
There's been multiple manufacturers leading at different times. Is there anybody that surprised you?
So far, the chess game is yet to start. Let the sun drop and we'll find out.
All right, we'll be right back.
More than others. For instance, take this seat. Take this wheel. Take this start. Don't take your eye off the curve. Who knows what lies ahead? Take this way in, and this way out. Take every opening, every chance. Overtake this one, these two. Take pleasure in the thrill. Take a second. Relax. There are 86,400 for the taking.
Championship-winning team.
We talked about the Corvette pace and maybe not quite having the speed of some of these other cars. They've been rocking it. They've been running up in the top 5 and not that far off the ultimate pace either.
Just look how busy pit lane is getting with 35 GT cars between GTD Pro and GTD.
And the 16 first form Porsche is in. Ryan Harvick is going to stay in the car, hitting from third. It is so tight down here. You have a little space and a little gap in the prototypes and some of the GTD Pros, but most of the GTDs are all stacked up. And the 16 is going to have a pretty good exit because the car right in front of him, an LMP2 car, so that's a good pit location. Meanwhile, further up pit road, the 57 Mercedes is in. Remember, the defending champ, if they make a driver change, Russell Ward, who started the race, said he was actually going to be back in the car. So we may see Russell Ward get back in the 57 Woodward here in just a minute. Nice exit for the 16. And they're away so with the 96 Turner BMW right in front of them.
Well, I think what you're seeing there, Kev, is a real strategy, because with the Pro-Am classes, which is LMP2, LMP3, and GTD, you want to try and knock out the amateur drive time. There's a minimum 4.5 hours that you have to do in this 24 hours for anyone who's listed on your racer entry. So you want to try and get them out, but that's compromised this year, Hinch, because of these cool conditions. We're not that far away. It's going to be really tricky getting out of pit lane on cold Michelin tires. So that factors into the engineer and the team manager decision. When do I put my AM in? When am I comfortable that he's not going to make that critical error and damage this race car?
And with the timing of the start of the race a little bit later in the day than what we've seen in the past, you can also put them back in closer conditions to what they're experiencing now later in the race. Bit more of a risk, but it's the compromise you might have to make.
The crucial motorsports McLaren 720S service to the set, the whole field getting serviced. We're getting ready to go back to racing. We will when we come back. Who love motorsport, who love racing, who have actually competed in the Rolex 24 here in Daytona. It's pretty impressive as you go across, because we are celebrating the 60th running of this race. It has attracted many, many famous people over the decades. That's why there's so much love for this event. And when you hear any of those celebrities talk about it, they just are so enthusiastic about what this event represents.
Oh, it's sensational. I mean, just the passion that many of those guys that I know quite well just...
Brian, you and I were talking just a moment ago. It's been surprisingly clean for the large field.
Well, it is, and for the weather conditions, I think, too. And we have seen some spins because of cold tires, and I think we'll continue to see those as the night comes in. But a couple of near misses for those guys, and the impacts that we've had, or the incidents that we've had, have not been unexpected.
They've not been unexpected. They've been relatively minor, but there's still a lot of racing still to go as we go back to green.
And here is more of it right now as you see the Wayne Taylor number 10 reassuming the lead and leading the pack down into turn one with some two wide action.
Saw that little bit of brake lock up on the 01 Cadillac on the way in there. I think that left front just kind of getting light, James, and locked up a little bit. No harm, no foul, but it shows just how hard these guys are pushing.
It's so easy to do. The tires are a little bit cold after a restart. They don't have all the grip.
A little bit?
A little bit. The left front can get unweighted as you turn into turn one there. And it's a little bit of a lockup from the 01. That is not unexpected. But just look at this traffic jam coming out of the International Horseshoe. So many cars. These restarts are where you have to be so heads up.
We always say yellows breed yellows, and that's what you have to think about these restarts. With the field as stacked as it is, 61 cars taking the
three wide
in action like this. Three prototypes side by side. That was the 52, the LMP2 car getting by that purple, orange, and white, getting past the two LMP3 machines. But wasn't easy. You can tell the speed differential is really not that great as they came out of the horseshoe down towards turn 6.
And you see as they go down the backstretch toward the Le Mans chicane, a little bit of weaving still. I don't believe they were trying to break the draft there, Hinch. I think they're still trying to get some heat in the tires.
I think you're going to see a lot of that. That's a tactic. This is some side-by-side action into the chicane here, and a lot more of the GTs coming behind, but that is a tactic that has become more popular once you are under green, on a straightaway, no cars around, you weave back and forth as we see some battle for the lead between the two Acuras. Castro Neves on the outside of Will Stevens in that Meyer Shank car, a few cars off at the chicane.
What did we say? Yellows breed yellows. Hopefully this won't breed another one, but the 47 Ferrari, we've seen that car with problems earlier today and off track yet again, this time at the Le Mans chicane.
What a fantastic resumption of the race we've seen, and it's still going on, just completing the first lap back to green, and the GTDs are all over the place heading to turn one.
3 wide on the brakes, funnels down to 2. You can do 2 down there. 3, I'm not so sure once you get to the corner, but it looks like everybody's playing nice again. You've got to protect your car at this stage of the race. There's so much racing to go.
Diving to the outside is the Porsche around the Aston Martin, trying to both overtake that Turner BMW, and now The Porsche gets stopped up behind the BMW.
Understanding as well the 79, the Porsche that we saw with that incident in the 19 a little bit earlier is going to have a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. Not surprising at all to me.
No, as soon as we saw that, we called in. The Lamborghini had left the 79 in the room. He just got a little hot tagged him. Innocent mistake. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't intentional, but definitely worthy of the penalty.
I'm looking at the timing and scoring screen. It says 20:31. You would think it was 20 minutes left, but it's 20 and a half hours left, and the battles are this intense. I mean, I said 2 full course cautions early on, James, but are we going to be able to kind of continue a run like that?
You know, we talked at the top of the show as we see a little bit of action here, that WeatherTech Porsche going by the BMW. We talked about the 60th running of this race, 61 cars, 230 drivers, I think, something like that, and the BMW holds it on the outside. But that's, we talked about how deep the talent field was on that driver entry list, and that's what's showing here. Only 2 full course cautions. We've seen manic, frantic restarts, a lot of side-by-side action, but no major incidences because of those restarts.
That little side draft,
little contact.
Little nods, that's probably close to 165 miles an hour through the tri-oval.
Probably a little closer than they want to get. The Aston
One of the
Martin
fastest cars on the track.
Number 10, the Wayne Taylor Racing Acura back up to the front.
And Hinchy's back up to the front because Elio
It is 3 wide.
to come to pit road. They have a left rear going flat.
Elio Castaneda's on his left.
Impressive move to get the lead for Elio.
Yep, there he goes.
Limping around the racetrack. And there it goes. It goes on the racetrack.
I was watching it.
Can he get the car
It popped off the rim.
Spinning it on
It
the
was
racetrack.
low, now it went off the
Finally
rim.
going down for the 60. Now they're coming back here, grabbing a rear wing in case they need to replace that. But you see the left rear going down.
Guy got
Just after
slow.
Elio Castaneda's took the lead.
Interested to see if, I don't remember seeing contact on the restart, or if there was just something, perhaps he got a puncture running over something getting out there, but now Elio
got the inner liner, luckily.
very much is in contention this weekend and could give Mike Shank another Rolex 24 victory with problems.
You've probably had this in your career, whether it's in Indy cars or the sports cars that you've done. You've got this flat. You've got to get it back to the pit. I mean, think about the patience required on Elio's part to get back to the pit lane and not destroy this.
Yeah. You want to go back to the pits as fast as you can for that repair, but the faster you go, the more likely the tire falls apart and damages the car further. So it is a very difficult test of patience, and he's on line right now through a very tough part of the racetrack. You see how close it is. This is going to be tough. He's got to be careful here.
And you saw Michael Shank, their team owner. He is on our Peacock pit box getting ready to chat with Steve Letarte down there, and he had a chance to look at this all just as we were as it unfolded.
Yeah, Dave.
And now continuing to limp around is Castro Neves. Looks like it's staying pretty tight under there. You don't see the...
Yeah, Dave.
Go ahead.
I was going to jump in right here. My mic's open now. Unfortunate timing. Michael Shank was fortunate enough and nice enough to come down and planned on talking to us. Exciting to see him, Elio take the lead. Car looked great. Flat left rear tire. We talk about 24 hours. Give me the synopsis as an owner. What now?
Well, we just went from extreme high to kind of a low here, but let me tell you something right now. That car's a fast race car. We're going to get back in the pits. We're going to put tire on it, get him back out. We're going to be probably 2 laps down, I'm guessing. I'm not super worried about that. We'll get that back. So let's go.
So a novice sports car racer, help me out. 2 laps down here, the blueprint in NASCAR. I know all the ways you get your laps back.
Yeah.
Here, is it fuel strategy? Is it that wave around with the yellow something out? What's your plan to try to get back there through the night?
It's just stay out, let the leaders pit. They pit a lot in DPI. Let them pit, get our lap back. We'll stay out, get the wave by, and here we go again. So we've gone down at least 1 lap. But I'm telling you, Elio just makes me smile. This guy wins the Indy 500 for us. He gets in the car today. He's like, put me in, I'm ready. And he's 47 years old. And it's just an amazing story. We love it.
Well, I was telling you, my first ever Indy 500 was last year watching Elio.
Oh, damn.
He is, without a doubt, the
Back
youngest
into the wall.
46-year-old I have
I'll be
ever
uploading
seen.
the Indy 500 last year when Elio won. Uploading it tonight as well.
So this is
help me out.
So what'll happen is
Castaneda's
we'll
the
get
Superman.
control of the field here then, and even though the leaders just pit, everyone
Spider-Man.
probably will come and get fuel because it's just an easy way to get fuel. There's only 7 cars. You don't lose anything. This helps us out a lot.
If you have one driver that deals with an issue like this, do you want it to be Elio just because, like you said, he has so much energy and he's always ready to bounce back?
If you can imagine, every 4 letter in the word is being spoken in Portuguese first and then English second. I'm sorry I'm missing that part, but listen, He's a great guy. It's a great team down there. We had a few problems with Tom Bloomquist at the beginning, not his, ours. We had our tire pressures off, and it really affected the handling of the car.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't see it real clearly, but
Looks like one car lost it on power.
You can see
It just fits
the
the
fuel
circumstance
going on
for
the
a few
windshield.
drivers.
That's exiting turn 6, getting out of the NASCAR 2 banking. Another look here.
Just happens up. There's a third car involved.
Lamborghini number 19. Is that right?
Oh, there's the damage to the prototype, to the LMP3 car.
63 Lamborghini, excuse me.
Wow, Mauro Engel very lucky in the 97 there to get through all of that happening right in front of him. And we see one car back behind the garage. It looks like...
Is that the 5?
That's what I'm asking. No, it is an orange end plates. That's the LMP3 car.
Man, this cautions breed cautions, Brian. You said it.
It took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, it's what we were talking about a little bit earlier. You get all those classes mixed up, different acceleration rates. The LMP3 cars have traction control. It's pretty rudimentary. Same with an LMP2 car. The GTD cars, both GTD and GT Pro, have very, very good traction control. And so trying to get that power down on cold tires shortly after a restart, and one little mistake and it takes several cars with you. So see that Aston Martin just in front.
So yeah, was it the Aston Martin that maybe started? It's tough to tell. We don't want to... Okay, this might be... No, that's already happened by that point too. But as you said, this is coming out of turn 6, and that's such a crucial corner. It leads on to a massive straightaway. You want to get the power down early. You want to get...
Sure, Michelin has a commitment by 2050 to be 100% sustainable, and by 2030 to be 40% sustainable. How do we know we can get there? Because we're already there today in racing. We have before us a tire that is 46% sustainable, that is ready for racing. We've actually tried this at Le Mans, done one lap at Le Mans, and we'll actually have it in competition in 2025.
Yeah, it's amazing what Russell was telling me earlier about how they're taking different products and putting into this tire to get it to be sustainable. And it's going to see the racetrack soon. So Michelin doing its part to make the world a better place.
Jeff, thanks for that information down there. Always moving forward is Michelin, and since they became the sole tire supplier of the series a couple years back, it's been good to see what they can do here in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
What do I have? Do I have my line down into one? Am I racing? Yeah, I've got a car there beside me, the 14 that I'm racing with. Where are the prototypes? Quick check of that rear camera. And now I can focus forward and get this taken care of, maybe.
Hard brake zone through turn 1 at an angle. Very tricky. You get through the S's there, and then it's down into the International Horseshoe. Long, about 180-degree corner. Right-hander, get on the power. This leads up to a nice little stretch to the kink. Flat out in a prototype car, probably a little lift in these cars. Let's listen. Maybe a slight hesitation.
You've lost some of your bravery, obviously, because I think he was flat, right? And ABS that this car has that the GT Le Mans didn't have. So they've got to get used to an anti-lock braking system as a driver in brake zones like this.
And this one helps a lot. Very bumpy on the brakes into turn 6. You saw he used a bit of the entry curve. Now you can see the sun blinding him. You got to get on the power. We talked about this earlier. This run is the longest stretch of straightaway. You need to get out of there onto NASCAR 1 and 2. Getting a little bit of draft here from that Lexus now as we head towards the Le Mans chicane. Very fast, fun part of the racetrack, Brian.
And that camera view doesn't do it justice. The banking here at Daytona, it is impressive, especially from in the car.
Anywhere you look, impressive racing at Daytona.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be cold tonight for sure, and tires like cool temperatures, cool track temps, but not for this track temp will be. So it's going to be like driving on ice for these guys, especially when they come out of the pits on new tires. We've already seen a lot of incidents pretty early on, so I think anything goes in this race.
So this event is so spectacular for both the competitor and the fan, but I want to talk about some of the names on your jacket, right? The manufacturers, you see 13 different ones in here. You've been alongside BMW for so many years. What's it mean for a manufacturer like BMW to have the opportunity to come here and kind of showcase now a new car in a new class?
Well, I mean, first off, there is no series in the world that has this many manufacturers involved in it. This is truly amazing, and as you say, so many whether it's Ferrari, Porsche, BMW, Corvette, I mean, the list goes on, Aston Martin, the list goes on and on. To win here, I mean, I do believe in, win on Sunday, sell on Monday, as I think all these other manufacturers do as well. So it really is important to them to have a great race here. And this is, IMSA, their biggest race of the year is the first race of the year.
Yeah.
In most cases, it's always the last race, right? So this is a big race, and you want to be there. You want to be in victory lane if you can all make it happen.
A little bit of trouble looks like for the Wayne Taylor Racing entry, the 10.
Yeah.
Looks at the flat right rear. This is long 3.5 miles with a flat tire.
Well, and the problem is, especially when you have a flat front, it's very easy. You can just apply the brakes a little bit, and it'll lock the front. It'll keep the wheel from moving. But on a rear, I mean, it's going, and so you really have to be careful that you don't tear up the bodywork by the tire coming apart. You can always see there it is, some more the rubber's coming off the tire, and that'll just beat up the back of the car, and could take you out of the race, or certainly put you many laps down. So it's really hard. You've got to be very, very patient when you've got a flat rear tire to go all 3 miles away around.
Bobby, it's getting a lot colder and the sun is going down. What do you say to your drivers to help them kind of keep a level head?
Well, for sure, before we even start the race, it's really all about disciplining yourself. You don't want to get caught up in battles that are going to not make much difference 15, 18 hours from now. I mean, we believe that.
It does. It feels pretty good. I mean, I'm an emotional guy, but I try not to be an emotional guy. And there was a moment on that last lap where I kind of just was holding back tears internally, but then I didn't want to cry in front of all the cameras and stuff that were around, so I had to have my moment and then just be happy and celebrate everything. And it was it was an awesome experience.
Relief, is that the best word, or?
Yeah, relief kind of hits it right on. I mean, the problem is I want to win,
of course,
and I felt in the race, like any driver, you kind of set goals throughout. I was like, okay, don't lose the positions. Lap 1, check. And then from there, settle into the groove. We had some great pit stops, some good strategy, and then we found ourselves in podium contention for most of the race.
Is a championship possible?
When I signed up for this, I only did it because I thought a championship was possible. And that's not trying to discredit competition. I know it's going to be hard and difficult, but I came here to win. I'm with the best team. I like to think I have the best teammate. And as long as I can hold up on my end, I don't see why a championship's not possible.
It's just
The team car, the 01 last year, so he'll get his first stint behind the wheel here. Behind them on pit road as well, the Mustang sampling number 5, Richard Westbrook will stay behind the wheel of that race car. Ericsson came on the radio in the 02 and said the fuel light was on, so it'll be a full fuel fill for this 02 Ganassi Cadillac.
And Brian, we see a count going on there on the other part of the illumination there. What's that for?
Well, and we're getting ready to talk about that before the 02 came in. That panel will tell you two things. Once the car is on the racetrack, the number there tells you the position of the car in the class. It becomes a counter or a timer on the pit stop, so you'll know how long the pit stop took based upon that number that you see on the way out. That was a 36-second stop.
I like it when they make it easy for me.
Yes.
As a longtime pit reporter, there have been many times when I wish I had a stopwatch in my hand down there. Now in IMSA, Marty, all we have to do is look on the side of the race car.
31 pitting. Tristan Nunez, a Florida native, will hop out. This is his first time hopping out of the Action Express Cadillac. So Timmy Keene, who runs the strategy for the championship team last year, walking Tristan through all the steps. Mike Conway getting in the car, just a steady rock for this 31 team. And for the last couple of years, he's been so quick and so good. So he's getting in the car for the first time today. Expect a triple stint from Conway getting in here in the evening. The 48 car with Jimmy Johnson. He'll hop in just a moment. They expect to pit here in a lap or two.
So as the
Ally Cadillac to pit road, Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time Cup Series champion, waiting to go in. And for James Hinchcliffe and Brian Till, I can confirm that helmet is buckled for Jimmy Johnson. He did get that done. And there's the driver change. They kind of walked Rockenfeller through how they wanted him to unbuckle. You see the driver assist going on. Jimmy plugging in the radio right there. Now he is ready to go for his triple spin.
Less than 30 seconds.
Jimmy Johnson pulling away for the first time in the 60th running of the Rolex 24.
Wow, and you saw there that the timing of the pit stop there, 31 seconds. That's not a lot of time, Hitch, to get that all done.
It wasn't, and I love that we stayed on that camera to see the orchestrated, the choreography that it takes to get one driver out and another one in. One helper from the team is allowed to assist the driver in getting his seatbelts buckled, the radio connected. You see Jimmy weaving on the pit lane there to try to get a little bit of heat in those front tires before he gets to this treacherous turn in pit lane that has claimed so many cars over the years.
I think the interesting thing is if you looked out the side window while he was doing that, when he first was moving the wheel back and forth, the car wasn't really moving.
Right.
It just shows you there was no grip in the front tires. It was just push, push, push until you get some of that mold release off of the outside of the tire and start to build some little bit of temperature.
And you can see the new tire, it's very shiny. That's that mold release you were talking about. But as we get into the night, we're going to see some guys put on scuff tires to make it a little bit easier. Marty.
Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac is in. Ringer Vanderzander is out. Scott Dixon hops in the car. The six-time IndyCar will get his first go in the 2022 Rolex 24. Dixon obviously very good in this race. We'll see what he does. So the one thing that jumps out at me, Dave, just think about all the experience and all those championships that just hopped in. And these were the fourth drivers hopping in here at the Rolex 24. That's amazing.
The depth of the field this year is
Great to watch the cars during the daylight, but the thing I love about the night, you can look and you can see the glow in the exhaust, the glow of the brakes when they go. Look at the glow in the exhaust on that prototype there, on that rear body work, the fire coming out, the brake rotors glowing on the hard decel areas of the racetrack. This time of night's cool.
You can even see into the cars because inside the cockpits they'll put just tiny little dull LEDs to give the driver a little bit of a sense of where the buttons are, where the tools are. So even from standing in one of the horseshoes, the brake glow, and then looking inside, you can see the driver. You're right. This is what makes it a spectacle.
We'll be seeing all these great shots all night long on Peacock. And of course, we'll be having more guests down in the Peacock pit box. Steve Letarte will be roaming the infield and the pit lane, trying to stay up all night on a little bit of coffee and caffeine. We'll see how Steve does. And of course, our pit reporters hanging out there in the elements, along with all of the crew from NBC Sports, bringing you this great event, the 60th running of the Rolex 24 at Daytona. So once again, make sure you switch over to Peacock to see the continuing action of this 24-hour endurance event. For now, from the USA Network, we will say goodbye